Have you ever wondered, amidst a world so consumed by competition, where everyone seems to be striving to get ahead, why there are those who remain unshaken, quietly resilient, and somehow grow stronger and deeper with every storm life brings? Is the real secret to outsmarting everyone else simply about being more clever, talking more, or mastering the art of controlling others? The truth is, most of us are swept up in an endless race for recognition, a web of silent comparisons, and a creeping anxiety each time we fall short of society's ever-changing standards. We believe we are in control, yet so often we are led astray, lost in a whirlwind of noise, expectations, and pressures that drown out our own voice. This video will not only reveal what's truly outsmarting you every single day, it will also hand you 9 practical keys, each one forged from Stoic wisdom, to help you not just weather every challenge, but to remain calm, clear, and firmly anchored in yourself, no matter how wild the world becomes outside. If you've ever found that the more you try to explain, to prove, to be heard, the more lost you become, then this is a journey you owe yourself to take at least once. Here, you'll discover that it is in stillness, humility, and deep self-understanding that the greatest distance can be traveled. So let's begin together a quiet exploration of the secrets that shaped some of the greatest minds in history, and perhaps might just change yours. Why modern people are so easily outsmarted. In the modern city, beneath the dazzling lights and the relentless rhythm of daily life, there are many who seem to have it all. A thriving career, meaningful relationships, the applause of others, yet night after night, as they return home and the world quiets down, a silent emptiness settles in, a sense of uncertainty, as if something essential is still missing but impossible to name. Have you ever felt that way too? Behind the mask of busyness and outward success, there are invisible battles no one else can see. The endless comparisons, the quiet fear of being left behind, the craving for validation, and the unspoken urge to prove your worth. We are all living in a world where our minds are constantly bombarded by waves of dopamine from every notification, every compliment, every digital measure of approval. With each like, there is a subtle question: am I good enough yet? Our minds grow weary, haunted by the fear of missing out, of fading into anonymity. We chase trends, scramble to meet each new standard, trying to fit in only to feel even more lost. This is the invisible trap of our digital age. The more we seek external validation, the more we lose touch with the quiet roots of our own peace. Some call this the paradox of the new generation. We know so much, yet understand ourselves so little. We connect with so many, yet experience profound loneliness. We assume that to outsmart others, we must surpass them in knowledge or influence. But in truth, the person most easily outsmarted is ourselves, whenever we get swept up in endless comparisons and unmet expectations. And when all the advances of the modern world still can't fill that emptiness, what path remains? That is when Stoicism, the philosophy of mastering the self, appears like a lantern, lighting the way back to true peace. Stoicism doesn't ask you to become numb, nor to retreat from life. It teaches you to stand steady in the storm, to see yourself clearly, and to focus on what is truly within your control. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoic way doesn't promise superhuman strength, nor demand that you battle the world. It whispers a reminder. Every ounce of strength you seek begins in the stillness within. In the chapters ahead, I'll walk with you as we unlock each Stoic key, helping you not just outsmart the traps of the world, but stay anchored and resilient on your journey of becoming. And if you've ever found that the more you speak, the more you explain yourself, the more restless and lost you feel, then perhaps it's time to try something different. To listen to the silence and ask if there might be a path leading you back to the real power within. 1. Silent resilience. There are days when you come home from work, and while the city outside remains as noisy and restless as ever, it feels as if a storm has just passed through your heart. Maybe it's an unexpected failure, the sudden loss of a job you poured yourself into, or a belief you held dearly that suddenly slipped away. In moments like these, it's easy to reach for comfort, to vent your frustrations, to confide in someone, to crave sympathy or reassurance. And yet, sometimes, something deeper urges you to be silent. You don't rush to explain yourself. You don't complain. You don't post a word on social media. And when all the noise fades, you are left alone with yourself in a quiet room. That silence can feel frightening because it demands that you face your truest emotions, the pain you never dared to name. Yet in that very space, you begin to realize that what you truly need is not someone to blame, but a moment of deep stillness to observe, to listen to what inside you is really crying out, what is breaking, and what remains unbroken after the storm. If you find yourself caught in the middle of a storm, try something simple. Tonight, turn off every device and sit quietly for 10 minutes. Take a blank sheet of paper and write out whatever feelings rise you pit. Doesn't need to be beautiful or logical, just honest. Then, close your eyes, count your breaths, and feel your heartbeat slow down. Don't rush to fix the sadness. Let it all be there, and then let it drift gently past you, like a cloud in the sky. In moments like these, Stoic philosophy appears as a gentle friend, quietly resting a hand on your shoulder, not speaking loudly, but softly reminding you, what stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. What blocks your path today, if you have the patience to look deeply, can become the very road that helps you grow. Silence in the face of hardship is not avoidance. It is the courage to step back, to give yourself enough space and stillness to observe, so you won't be swept away by complaints, blame, or invisible fear. On the most uncertain days, simply sitting down to write what stirs inside, or closing your eyes and listening to your own breath, helps the storm within you settle. 5 or 10 minutes of mindful silence, each day attending to your emotions, watching them float by like clouds will, show you that you are no longer a victim of adversity, but the master of your own becoming. No one taught us this lesson in school, yet life never stops reminding us. Real strength comes from inner stillness. And if you need an example, think of Nelson Mandela, who endured more adversity and injustice than him. 27 years in prison, suffering every humiliation, yet never uttering a word of bitterness, never letting anger destroy his spirit. In his journal, he wrote, "I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way, but I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can rest only for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not yet ended." It was his silent resilience that forged an unshakable spirit so that when he returned, he could forgive, love, and lead a nation through darkness. As the Western saying goes, still waters run deep. The quietest waters hold the deepest strength. If you are patient enough to remain with that silence, you will discover within yourself a current of power that nothing can defeat. Tomorrow, if some misfortune comes, big or small, try being silent for 3 minutes before you react. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What part of me remains unbroken, no matter what happens outside? That is the first step to building a new kind of strength. Silence, to see clearly, to transform, and to heal without needing to prove anything to anyone. Silence is not mere endurance. Silence is for listening, for healing, for preparing yourself for a stronger return. Perhaps the greatest gift of adversity is that it gives you a chance to practice silency, to hold back from quick reactions, to stop needing to prove your pain to the world. If you are calm and honest with yourself, you'll find that each time you pass through adversity in silence, you emerge more mature and more profound than before. And one day, you will understand. It is those silent moments that nurture your deepest strength. They are the birthplace of every lasting transformation in your life. 2. Guard your weaknesses. Have you ever wondered what part of yourself is the most vulnerable? Perhaps you're skilled at hiding it from the world, yet there are still certain things if someone touches them, even lightly, your heart grows uneasy, your spirit falters, and you feel more fragile than usual. Often, our greatest weaknesses are not found in skills, knowledge, or appearance, but in private corners of the soul. Memories of past hurt, the fear of being abandoned, the ache of not being recognized. Everyone carries these hidden places. Each person simply has their own way of concealing or facing them. Many people learn to live strong on the outside, always seeming okay, and so they try even harder to deny or cover up the sensitive spots within. But the truth is, the more we try to ignore Timor, the more we confide in someone we haven't fully learned to trust, the easier it is for us to be wounded again. This world is not always gentle enough to honor or protect the secrets we hold inside. Sometimes, just a careless joke, an offhand remark, or a glance from someone else is enough to send your feelings crashing down. That's when you realize there are things best kept for yourself, not out of fear or weakness, but because you deserve to be protected. Look at yourself for a moment. When things go wrong, do you find yourself becoming irritable, withdrawing, or feeling inexplicably down? Have you ever wanted to pour out all your feelings, only to feel disappointed when no one truly understands, or worse, when someone makes light of your pain? In truth, keeping a part of your story private is not deceit or coldness, but maturity. It's how you care for and protect the safe territory of your soul. If you've ever read about Theodore Roosevelt, the American president who, as a child, was weak and sickly, you'll understand this idea. He was often bullied and felt inferior to his peers. Instead of complaining or seeking pity, Roosevelt quietly trained himself every day, turning his frailty into fuel for growth. He shared only what was necessary with those he genuinely trusted. These wounds, his struggle she kept within himself, slowly transforming them into inner strength. Stoic philosophy, too, is like a gentle friend reminding you, no man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. True strength begins with recognizing and accepting your weaknesses without putting them on display for all to see, and without punishing yourself for what is not yet perfect. The practice is simple. Tonight, give yourself a few minutes of quiet and ask, what makes me most vulnerable? Write it down, see it clearly, and decide for yourself. How will I protect this part of me? Who do I truly want to share it with? And with whom should I keep it to myself? You might be surprised to find that just by daring to face it and drawing clear boundaries, what once felt so delicate can slowly become a source of strength. And if someone does happen to touch on your weakness, pause, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, this is mine to hold, mine to protect, and I alone decide who gets to see it. Everyone has their shadows. Keeping a part of your story private isn't hiding. It's an act of self-respect. Don't blame yourself for not being ready to share. Everyone needs a private sky, a safe zone known only to themselves. Have you ever asked yourself what it is you never want anyone to touch? Do you truly understand it? And do you know how to protect that part of yourself? 3. Quiet humility. Once you've learned to recognize and protect your own weaknesses, you begin to notice something strange. The more you truly understand yourself, the quieter you become. You no longer feel the urge to boast or compare. In this space, strength isn't found in proving anything but in humility, the gentle force that allows you to grow without needing the world to notice. In today's world, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need to talk constantly about yourself, to display every success, to feel seen. But if you pay close attention, the people you respect most are rarely the ones who speak much about themselves. They don't waste energy arguing who's better, nor do they announce every win. Instead, they live their values with quiet persistence, letting results speak for themselves. This humility is not just a moral virtue, it's a kind of inner armor way to stand firm against both external judgment and internal doubt. Have you ever felt imposter syndrome? That quiet fear of being exposed as less capable than others think? Even the most accomplished people face it. The way through it isn't by pretending, but by accepting that we're all still learning. Humility means admitting how much you don't know, refusing to perform for approval, and stepping away from the exhausting cycles of comparison. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't explain how you live, just live it." Let people feel the strength of your presence in the way you show up, not in what you say. Quiet, persistent action, that's how truly strong people leave a lasting impression, even without saying a word. To practice this, ask yourself, when you accomplish something, do you need everyone to know? Or is it enough that you know you gave your best? Try honoring your wins privately. Give sincere praise to others instead sometimes. One quiet, genuine compliment is all it takes to lift someone's spirit. In time, you'll feel yourself growing not through applause, but through a confidence rooted deeply within. You can also try silent achievement, working diligently, without needing to post about it or chase recognition. Let your results speak when they're ready. In the meantime, live in quiet contentment, untethered from the noise of other people's opinions. And sometimes, the most meaningful validation arrives unannounced from someone you didn't expect, not because you said anything, but because of who you consistently are. One day, perhaps, someone will tell you they admire the way you live, even though you never advertised it. That is real strength. You'll see it in life's simplest moments when someone quietly acknowledges your presence or your kindness. In those moments, you'll understand the true value of humility and how silent resilience leaves a deeper impact than any performance ever could. Of course, life always brings new challenges, and if humility helps you grow, what will help you stay clear-minded, free from gossip, envy, or judgment? That answer awaits in the next chapter, where we'll explore the power of refusing to speak about others, so you can protect the quiet peace inside your own mind. 4th, judge not, gossip not. After spending days living quietly, practicing humility, and letting go of the need to prove yourself, you'll come to face a very ordinary but far from easy challenge. When confronted with the stories and flaws of others, which path will you choose to protect the clarity of your own heart? Have you ever found yourself in a group of friends where, as soon as someone steps away, the conversation subtly shifts to talking about the absent person, those just for fun comments, the stories that seem harmless in the moment, can leave a subtle trace in everyone's heart and, over time, create a kind of lingering negative energy. Most of the group is swept along in this current, while only one person quietly chooses to stay silent or gets up and leaves, drawing a personal boundary and refusing to be pulled into the cycle of judgment. Modern psychology has revealed that gossip, talking about others in their absence, actually provides a quick dopamine hit, a fleeting sense of belonging or connection to a group. Yet, at the same time, it slowly erodes our self-respect and trust in ourselves. With every instance of talking behind someone's back, we lose a small piece of our own decency and true values. The thrill of feeling inside the group can be addictive, but in the end, it brings only emptiness because everyone knows, today you talk about someone else, and tomorrow it might be your turn. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This philosophy doesn't require grand declarations. It simply asks that you dare to hold your silence in unnecessary conversations, refuse to add to the chorus of judgment, and instead, gently guide the topic towards something constructive, something positive. That's true strength. Try practicing 24 hours without judgment. Just one day. Commit to yourself that no matter what happens, you won't judge, you won't speak negatively about others, and you won't join in with careless remarks. If someone starts to gossip, try listening without reacting, or gently steer the conversation towards something brighter. Ask about a new project, a creative idea, or simply change the subject with an open-ended question like, "What do you think helps you grow every day?" You may be surprised at how the energy of the whole group shifts with your quiet example. The remarkable thing is, as you become strong enough to refrain from judging others, you also stop fearing their judgments of you. You don't need to align with what you don't believe in, nor do you have to make anyone uncomfortable. Just keep your boundaries, remain quietly firm against negativity, and choose kindness. In the end, perhaps the greatest freedom is not saying whatever comes to mind, but knowing when silence is the best response. If you have something good to say it. If not, choose silence as a gift for yourself and for everyone around you. And once you master this, you'll feel lighter, no longer weighed down by idle stories, no longer anxious about others' opinions. That's when you truly breathe out a sense of peace, creating a small sanctuary of tranquility within the noise of the world. But can we sustain this kindness, even when surrounded by gossip and judgment? The answer, perhaps, will come when you begin to practice quiet kindness without anyone needing to know, without waiting for recognition. Let's discover this together in the next chapter. 5. Unseen kindness. Once you've grown used to keeping your heart clear, no longer letting judgments pollute your mind, you'll discover another quiet strength blooming gently inside you: kindness. But here, kindness is not something to display or perform for praise. It's the kind of goodness you often see in those who love you most. They quietly do all the little things: cleaning your room, fixing the roof before the rain, making small sacrifices, never counting the cost, never asking for thanks. Have you ever wondered how many times your parents tidied up your space, silently repaired something before a storm, or gave up their own comfort so you could feel safe in the world? If you don't pay attention, you might not even notice. But in truth, these acts are the foundation beneath all your peace. Unseen kindness is just that: the gentlest light, the most steadfast warmth, never shining on itself, but always radiating outward in silent ways. Stoicism teaches that kindness for its own sake, doing good, simply because it's right, is the only motive that matters. You don't wait for thanks or praise. Modern psychology calls this intrinsic dopamine, the deep fulfillment you feel when you do something meaningful without chasing the fleeting rush of approval. Seneca said it best: "A good deed is its own reward. No recognition needed, no applause required, because deep down, you know you are becoming a better person, and that is a reward no one can take from you." If you've ever done something kind that no one knew about, picking up a stranger's dropped bag, sharing your lunch in silence, or sending a quiet message of encouragement to someone going through a hard time, you'll recognize the quiet joy it brings. It's not glamorous, but a deep peace only you can understand. To practice this, try a small challenge. For the next week, do one kind thing each day but tell no one. Don't post about it. Don't wait for someone to notice. Don't mention it later. Instead, write it in a gratitude journal. Record these invisible acts, no matter how small. You'll see they are like rays of sunlight through a door barely noticed, yet enough to warm your soul. And then one day, you may realize, when you no longer crave recognition, you live more freely, more kindly, and care less about what others think. That's when you become a natural giver, not out of effort, but because your heart is already full. Perhaps the gentlest light is also the one that never shines back on itself, yet has the power to warm others in complete silence. If you've ever hesitated to do good simply because no one would notice, try it. Just once, for yourself, and feel the shift begin inside. That's when your spirit grows still and peaceful, like a deep river, ready to carry kindness to anyone, anywhere. And then you'll see. The true power of unseen kindness lies not in what others observe, but in how quietly and steadily you grow a person whose strength no longer depends on recognition or reward. This journey continues, for after silent kindness comes the nurturing of quiet dreams, the seeds that must be warmed and protected deep underground before they can rise into the light. Let's keep walking. 6. Nurture your plans and dreams in silence. Once you've grown accustomed to quiet kindness, you'll find yourself appreciating the peace that silence brings, especially when it comes to your most cherished dreams and plans. In our era, everything is so easily shared, from breakfasts to travels, even the most fragile ambitions. There are people who, the moment they spark the idea of learning something new or starting a project, rush to post it online, receiving a few likes or encouraging words, and then everything stops. The fire hasn't even begun to burn, yet it's already dimmed by early recognition. I once heard a friend say that sometimes the best thing for a seed isn't sunlight, but gentle warmth and a private space where it can root deeply before breaking through the surface. Think of the story of J.K. Rowling. For years, she toiled quietly on Harry Potter. No one knew, and few believed. She didn't broadcast her project or seek approval. She simply let it brew, page by page, character by character. By the time the world learned her name, her dream was strong enough to shine without defense. That isn't just her story, it's a lesson for anyone carrying a great hope within. Modern psychology explains it well. Our brains are easily tricked by the dopamine of recognition. Each time you announce a goal and receive praise, your mind feels rewarded, as if you've moved closer to the finish line, when in truth, you've barely begun. That's why the more we talk about our dreams, the less motivation we have left to act on them. Announce your goal, lose your motivation, not because you lack willpower, but because you've unconsciously celebrated too soon. The Stoic perspective is simple but profound. Keep your cards close to your chest. Don't reveal what's most precious when it's still tender. True strength lies in quiet perseverance, in being able to endure loneliness, to keep the small flame alive even when no one knows. Nurturing a dream requires far more patience and silence than simply talking about it. There's a simple practice I've found powerful. Write your goals in a personal notebook, revisit them every day, adjust your steps quietly, don't rush to tell anyone. Only share when you genuinely need help, and choose your circle of trust wisely, a few who truly honor your journey. You may be surprised. The more you keep it private, the stronger your dream grows, quietly maturing from within. As the old saying goes, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Don't rush to display what is still delicate, for even the slightest headwind can shatter a fragile hope. If you've ever felt your early enthusiasm fade, just because you shared it too soon, you'll understand. I've tried holding on to my plans, keeping them just for myself, no announcements, no need for applause. The result is a sense of control over my journey, free from the expectations or pressures of others. Only when the work is truly ready do I share, and by then, the achievement speaks for itself, far louder than any early promise. Have you ever tried keeping a dream entirely to yourself, nurturing it in silence, letting it grow bit by bit with no one watching? Try it once, and you'll see. Silence is where a dream becomes its strongest. Once you have the faith and strength to guard your dreams in silence, you're ready to move forward and cultivate another vital virtue of patience with yourself and with the long process of becoming. 7. Always question and open your mind to learn. Have you ever felt confident that you truly understood something only to discover, when reality tested you, that you knew far less than you thought? I remember my early days at work, believing I had everything figured out, until a young colleague asked a simple question about how to handle an issue I'd always thought was routine. In that moment, I realized how easily we get trapped inside what we think we know without even noticing. The most insightful people I've met are not those with all the answers, but those who constantly ask questions and are unafraid to admit, "I don't know yet." They remind me of Marcus Aurelius the philosopher, emperor who wrote daily in his journal, challenging himself with even the smallest questions. His words echo in my mind, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." Men, that's the spirit of intellectual humility. The more you learn, the more you recognize what's missing, and the more willing you become to keep searching deeper. In psychology, they call this the beginner's mind, the attitude of someone always open to learning. Those who keep this mindset don't trap themselves in old patterns, nor shy away from challenging their assumptions. They're ready to unlearn outdated beliefs. This open way of thinking is the only way not to fall behind in a world that never stops changing. So, how do you make a habit of questioning and learning? For me, the key is to start small. Each morning, ask, "What am I curious about today?" Each night, spend a few moments reflecting, "What did I learn today?" It might be a new experience, a passing emotion, or a tiny detail you'd never noticed before. A friend of mine, who's been a manager for many years, still keeps a notebook for questions he couldn't answer during the day. Then, on weekends, he looks for the answers. He says that as long as you keep your learning mindset alive every day, there's nothing to fear about falling behind or losing your place in the flow of life. Stoicism doesn't ask us to know everything. It asks us to be honest with ourselves, to acknowledge what we don't know, and to be willing to change when we see we've been wrong. When you live with that spirit, you become less arrogant, less stubborn, and less afraid when life inevitably shifts around you. The greatest lesson Stoic philosophy has taught me is to always keep a learning mind, a questioning heart, and the patience to keep widening the boundaries of what I understand. There's a saying I love: stay hungry, stay foolish. The strongest people aren't those who always have the answers, but those who keep asking, keep seeking, and are always ready to start again from the beginning. If you've ever felt like you're grown up, like you already know enough, try asking yourself, what part of me hasn't been challenged in a long time? Sometimes, a single honest question opens a whole new path where knowledge is always expanding, and you yourself are refreshed with each new day. 8. Flexible, open to change. If you've ever followed Netflix's journey, you'll see it clearly. In this world, strength isn't always found in stubborn perseverance. Sometimes, the ones who survive and thrive are those who dare to be flexible, to adapt gracefully to change. In the early 2000s, when entertainment still revolved around DVDs, Netflix quietly began experimenting with online streaming. At that time, even insiders thought they were digging their own grave. Yet amid doubt and early setbacks, Netflix persisted, boldly letting go of a once successful model to bet everything on something the world hadn't yet imagined. By the time everyone realized streaming was the future, Netflix was already miles ahead. Had they clung to their old success, refused to change out of fear, Netflix might have faded into history. The same is true for us. We often fear leaving our comfort zone, afraid of feeling lost in the unknown. So we stand still, even when we sense we're falling behind. Yet life is always in motion like a river. If you grow rigid, you shatter on the rocks. If you bend and shift course, you eventually reach the open sea. Psychology calls this the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Those with a growth mindset aren't afraid of being wrong, trying new things, or admitting they don't know. They see failure as part of growing and success as only a brief resting place. Meanwhile, people stuck in a fixed mindset are ruled by fear of exposing weaknesses, losing image, or not being themselves if things change too fast. The more they cling to stability, the harder it becomes to adapt when life inevitably shifts. In Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. The universe is always shifting, and the only thing you can control is how you think, how you respond, and how open you are to change. On a practical level, you can start small. Set a goal each month to try something new, learn a skill, visit an unfamiliar place, connect with someone different from yourself. When challenges arise, let yourself say, "I don't know yet," and ask, "Can I see this from a new angle?" Instead of reacting out of habit, pause, map out possibilities, and choose the path that helps you grow, even if it's harder. Remember, being flexible doesn't mean bending with every breeze, but adapting when change is the only path to growth. Like water, you sometimes curve, slip through narrow cracks, and yet it's exactly this fluidity that lets you reach your destination. Along the way, you'll see. What holds you back is rarely the situation itself, but your own resistance to change. Look back at your past year. Was there a moment you missed simply because you feared change? Have you ever asked, if you had dared to try once, how different might your life be now? To truly develop a flexible mindset, keep a journal. What new things did you try? Where did you stumble? What risks did you take? Make it a habit to step beyond the familiar, even in small ways. Practice admitting imperfection, because only by embracing your unfinished self can you grow into your truest one. When the world changes faster than you expect, will you stay clinging to comforter? Will you flow like water, always becoming more? If life demands you change course, will you have the courage to let go of the old, embrace the unknown, and become the stronger version of yourself? 9. Patience, mastery. If there is one quality that every great soul quietly hones throughout their lifetime, it is patience. Imagine the growth of a tree. From a tiny seed buried in the cold, dark earth, it endures months and years of sun and rain, storm and wind. And only when the time is truly ripe does it finally push upward, stretching into the open sky. True maturity is never born from instant results, but from thousands of quiet acts of perseverance, often with no one but yourself bearing witness. The story of Thomas Edison is a simple yet profound reminder of this truth. People remember Edison for the light bulb, but few recall that he failed over 1,000 times before he created one that truly shone. When asked about this long chain of setbacks, Edison simply smiled and replied, "I have not failed 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." That answer was not just optimism, it was the very spirit of Stoicism, the ability to wait, to accept the process, and not let fleeting results shake the resolve within. Stoicism is not a philosophy for those who crave quick victories. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself, Rome wasn't built in a day. A mighty empire, a worthy life, a mature character each takes years to nurture. In our own small days, it is patience, whether for a great project, a new habit, or the healing of an old wound, that silently forges our inner strength and true resilience. For a Stoic, patience does not mean sitting still, waiting for life to happen. It means taking small, deliberate actions every day, like the farmer who steadily tends his fields without anxiously hoping for an early harvest. It's an attitude of readiness for challenges, unafraid of slow progress, able to pause and listen within, when weary then rise and continue, knowing that only patience allows the best things to take root and flourish. One of the most helpful practices is to break your big goals into small, daily steps. Just aim to be a little better than yesterday and treat each failure as a lesson, each setback as an important experiment on the road to your destination. Sometimes, it's the waiting itself that makes you stronger, deeper, and more complete than any outcome ever could. Dare to slow down, to savor each step, and trust that every seed needs time to awaken. You'll find that success rarely belongs to the fastest, but to those resilient enough not to give up, even when no one sees their effort. Your path may pass through many seasons of rain and sun, disappointment and near surrender. But remember Marcus Aurelius, Rome wasn't built in a day. Greatness does not come overnight, it grows, day by day, with every act of patience, every quiet rising after a fall. Perhaps, right now, you are waiting for something, an opportunity, a result, or simply a shift within. Let this waiting be an essential part of your journey. Patience will guard your dreams against haste and make every result infinitely more meaningful when it finally arrives. So, are you ready to plant a seed of patience in your own life beginning today? You've walked with me through 9 quiet yet powerful keys, from silent resilience in adversity to recognizing and guarding your weaknesses, embracing humility, refusing to judge or gossip, practicing unseen kindness, nurturing your dreams in silence, to continually asking questions, staying flexible in thought, and mastering patience day by day. But above all, there is one master key. To begin every transformation from within, from self-mastery, from that deep inner stillness where true peace is found. Only then can you slowly, steadily transform yourself into a stronger, calmer, more resilient version of who you are, no matter how turbulent the world outside becomes. Perhaps no one will ever applaud the quiet endurance you carry, and no one will truly know all you've endured and grown through in silence. But you, more than anyone, will feel it. The less you speak of yourself, the less you chase validation, the stronger and freer you become. This journey is not for the impatient, nor for those seeking shortcuts. It is for those willing to face themselves, patient enough to grow a little more each day, even if all happens in quiet solitude. So, are you ready to become the calmest, most steadfast, quietly profound soul in this noisy world? As Epictetus once said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." If you find yourself on this path, share in the comments which key resonated with you. Most, and let us quietly spread this Stoic light, together, to even more souls who need it.